Hello everyone, it's Becca from Becca Books and Bujo, and today we are going to talk about my least favorite books while I do my least favorite activity. So folks, I am a mom of two, working mom of two, and I need to fold laundry. But I also need to fold this video. And I thought, why not pair my worst books of 2023 with the worst activity I have to do all the time, which is folding laundry. So you'll see me folding laundry, actively doing something while I talk about these books, and maybe this will be a flop, but you know, a mom's gotta do what a mom's gotta do. So I read, I don't even know how many books in 2023. It'll be about 140, that's my guess. And there were some bad ones, and I'm going to talk about them right now while I fold laundry. So let's just start with the DNFs, because I feel like those should be mentioned because they would probably be pretty low rated. I almost count my DNFs as 1-star ratings. I don't actually rate them, but I don't ever give anything a 1 star, because if it were a 1 star, I really shouldn't have read it in the first place, right? So I had 5 DNFs in 2023. The first I have written down is Something Borrowed by Emily Giffin. This is a romance that was actually on my These Books Will Self-Destruct video for, it was at the end of 2022 that I posted the video. Read the books in 2023 mostly. And this one is about 2 people, well, 3 people, I think. And I can't even remember how everyone is involved, but like people are engaged or something. They're in a very serious relationship, and then the best friend of I think the best friend of the woman has an affair with the man in the relationship. And they both agree that it was a mistake, but they decide not to tell their friend about it, which maybe that decision will change in the future, or in the future of the book. But I just had issues with that plot line, and I couldn't deal with it. It just hit a little close to home, and I wasn't going to read about that. So I DNF'd Something Borrowed, and that was good because then I could get that book and Something Blue off of my shelves. I had both of them on my physical TBR. So that was my first DNF. The second DNF was The Postmistress. Couldn't even tell you the author. Here's a picture. And this one just felt like any other World War II book. And now that I'm thinking about it, it might have been World War I. But that's neither here nor there. It was a war book taking place in, I think, the US, and the synopsis was that a postmistress didn't deliver a letter that should have been delivered. And I was listening to it, and I couldn't follow it whatsoever. I was trying to finish it, I think, semi-quickly for some reason, and because I was listening and not following along with the physical book, I couldn't get into it. Like I said, it just wasn't going to be for me. So that was another DNF. Next up is The Lowland by Jhumpa Lahiri. This is one, I think, a book that wasn't for me at that time. I maybe could come back to it and enjoy it, but I just, yeah, again, I think this was another, I was listening to it, wasn't following along, couldn't follow it as easily because it was shifting between 2 viewpoints, and it was about 2 brothers, and I didn't really care about their story. While we're here, I just have to show, I got grease stains on my favorite bookish sweatshirt, and now I can never wear it again. Well, I'll wear it, but it'll just have grease stains on it, which is unfortunate. I think my husband just got me this sweatshirt for my birthday. So that's too bad, but I still love this sweatshirt. Okay, back to The Lowland by Jhumpa Lahiri. I actually did get rid of it. It's just not on my radar anymore. If it ever comes back into my life, okay. But it wasn't drawing me in, and I'm at a point where I just don't want to read books that aren't exciting. So, got that one off of my list. Next, we're on to another self-destruct book. I DNF'd quite a few of those. So this one is Cold Mountain by Charles Fraser, I want to say his name is. And this one, again, listened to it. I had COVID at the time I was listening to it and couldn't follow. Maybe that was COVID brain or maybe it was the story. But it was, I think, a Civil War novel, post-Civil War, about a man going back home, and I literally got, I barely gave it a chance. I got like 10 pages into it maybe, and was just like, no, I'm so bored, I want to read something else. And then I picked up, or I think I had just come off of a 5-star, like a really good, couldn't put down 5-star book, and I was like, I don't want to read this. This is boring. So yeah, just put it away, and I was able to get it off my self-destruct list, and not gonna read it ever again. The last DNF was kind of predictable because I got it on my TBR game for November, I think, and it was a random book on my Goodreads want to read list. And that book is The Invisible Library by Genevieve Cogman. This is a fantasy about books and libraries. And so while I thought that could be for me, it wasn't. I got pretty far into it. My dogs. I got like 38% of the way through, I want to say. I was reading it on my Kindle and it read pretty quickly, but there was this mystery aspect to it about this book that had gone missing, and the librarians were trying to find the book. But it wasn't, I didn't even care. I didn't want to know what happened to the book. And so I was like, wait, why am I still reading this if the end goal of this book is to figure out what happened to this book within the book? And I didn't care. So I DNF'd it, and that was fine because that book was the first in like a 7-book series. And so I was able to remove all of those books off of my Goodreads want to read list, which that just felt really good. Felt like decluttering. It was great. So those were my 5 DNFs of the year. I'm filming this in mid-December, and so if I have any more DNFs, I don't know, put something on the screen, maybe, but I would doubt that I'm going to have any more DNFs because I have some good books slated for the rest of the month, year. Okay, and then, like I said, I have no 1 stars because I think all of those DNFs, if I would have continued to read them, they would have been 1 stars. So next we are on to my 2 stars, of which I had 2. I'm doing well on reading books that I actually enjoy and want to read. Okay, so the 2-star that I had, the first one, was The Swiss Family Robinson by somebody. I read this because it was on my classics shelf, and actually, did I get it as a bomb book maybe on my TBR game? I think I did. And then one of my booktube friends, Naomi, had said she would buddy read it with me, and I thought, you know, I'm gonna try it. I'm gonna read it. I listened to it, which I thought would help, and ultimately I was just bored. I think it was written too long ago for me. I just, like, it wasn't exciting like it maybe would have been in the time and era that it came out in. I think it was written at like the same time as Jane Austen stuff, which I like Jane Austen stuff, so I shouldn't say that it's the era, but I like Jane Austen because that's romance, and I don't like this because it was more just adventure. One thing I talked about with Naomi and This Was Family Robinson is that everything was just so convenient for this family that got marooned on an island. I feel like it would be a little bit more difficult for a family who was marooned on an island, but no, they had all of these supplies on the ship that they were able to gather, and they had a beautiful place, and the father happened to know everything about starting a new life, and it was, yeah, too easy, too simple. So that was a classic that didn't work for me. I feel like I want to read classics, and I'm glad I read it, but I think that classics might get lower ratings for me just because sometimes I don't think classics stand the test of time. like they should. And you know, if this was Family Robinson worked for you, great, I'm glad. It just wasn't for me. Same with all of these books. If these books are your ultimate favorite, I take no offense, and I hope you don't take any offense. They just don't work for me. Every reader is different, and I don't want to be like, if you loved this book, get out of here, because it's terrible. No, I'm not that kind of a person. The next 2-star is a Spy Family book. Spy Family Volume 5 by Tatsuya Endo. I like this series a lot, and I want to complete it just because I want to feel like a completionist with this series, and they're just ultimately really fun. If you don't know about Spy Family, I feel like you're probably living under a rock, but it's about a spy named Twilight who is completing a mission, and in order to complete this mission, he has to get a fake family. So he fake marries someone and adopts a child and gets a dog, and it's fun. His wife ends up being an assassin, but Twilight doesn't know that, and his daughter is a telepath, but Twilight and the wife don't know that, so it's just lots of fun. I find them to be easy palate cleansers, and so I like to pick them up every once in a while, and I can usually finish them in one sitting. This one, though, was just really disjointed for me. I know that, like, manga is different in that episodes don't really have to be connected, more like chapters in fiction, but I still didn't like these, and like some of the episodes I just felt like, why is this even included? I get that they were maybe like fun interludes, but I just didn't want to read about some boys playing Go Fish, or I can't even remember what it was about this volume that I wasn't a fan of. So that one got a 2-star for me. Generally, the Spy Family books get 3 or 4 stars for me, and so this one was just a 2 and a fluke, I think, out of all of those volumes in the series. Okay, next we have 2.5 stars, and I feel bad saying that one of them is one of my worst books of the year, but rating-wise, I guess it fits. So the first is Little House in the Big Woods by Laura Ingalls Wilder, and I think I reread this because I had read it when I was a child, but I just didn't remember it. It was one of the books that, like, my mom read to us while we were driving in the car or something like that. And I reread it for, I think it was middle grade March. I wanted to read it and give it a try again, but this definitely is a book for young readers. It was just too simplistic. Very juvenile, and while some of the aspects were kind of fun with the family trying to figure out how to live in the middle of nowhere woods, which are very close to me, so that was kind of a fun thing too. It was just too, like I said, simplistic and not right for me. I think I definitely would love to read them with Theodore and Mabel if they ever want to. I could read it before bed or something, and I would enjoy that immensely, and I think that they would too, but I just don't need to read it myself as an adult reader. And the last one on my worst books of the year, my least favorite, I hate to call them worst, but okay, we've been there already, is actually a very recent finish, and I didn't know what I was going to rate it, but I feel like thrillers are very difficult for me. They have to be new and have something super exciting that I've never seen before in order to get a super good rating for me. Otherwise, they're just like pretty middle of the road. And this one was so slow, and I predicted the ending pretty much right away, with one minor caveat. There was one part of the twist that I didn't catch, but I still caught the majority. So I should tell you what this book is called, right? This is The Maid's Diary by Lorith Ann White. I read this for my Goodreads blog, where I read all of the books nominated for the Goodreads Choice Awards that I owned, and I happened to get this one on an Amazon First Choice, like, freebie email, and because it was nominated, I gave it a try. And I was super intrigued because the prologue of the book, like basically laid out the murder and showed you exactly what happened at the end without knowing who was involved, because it was all like shadows and hidden people and whatever. And so then I was totally there for it. I wanted to figure out the ending, but it got us there so slowly. And we followed so many different perspectives that ultimately didn't have much to do with anything at the end. And yeah, like I said, I caught on pretty quickly with what the twist was. So I just wasn't a big fan. I will say it kept me reading. I wasn't going to DNF it. Also, I just didn't want to DNF it for the video. But I still wasn't thrilled or excited by how it ended and how long it took to get there. It was too long with too much going on. And it was just a bunch of like rich people problems, I felt. So yeah, those were some of my worst books of the year. How many were there? 9 books. I should have made it to an even 10, but I feel like 3s don't deserve worst books of the year title. So there were 9 books that I considered to be the worst of the year. I didn't even fold 1 load of laundry, and I have 1, 2, 3 more to go. So I'll be here for a little bit longer this evening folding laundry, but thank you so much for watching this video. Like it on your way out. Consider subscribing to my channel if you want to see more bookish and bullet journaling content from me, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!